If you've been following this series, you already know the system wasn't broken, it was redesigned. Starting in 1971 with a secret memo that laid out a long-term plan for corporations to take over everything from our courts to our paychecks. And after they crushed labor and rewrote the rules of the economy, they went after education because they understood something most people didn't. If the next generation learned how power really worked, how injustice was built into the system, they might start to question it. And if enough people start asking the right question, the whole damn system starts to shake. In the Powell memo, Lewis Powell warned the business elite that the assault on American enterprise was not coming from guns or armies, but from college campuses, public schools, and textbooks. It wasn't a military threat, it was an intellectual one. And Powell's advice was clear. If corporations wanted to protect their power, they needed to seize control of the spaces where ideas were shaped. So they made their next move, not with violence, but with money and strategy. They set their sights on classrooms, curriculum, and the people who dared to teach the truth. First, they targeted the universities. Corporations and wealthy donors began pouring money into business schools, law schools, and economics departments, especially those willing to promote free market ideology. What used to be a debate between multiple schools of thought became a monoculture of market-first, deregulation-friendly theories. That was not an accident. It was an investment. Today, many public universities have entire departments funded by Koch money or corporate foundations, training the next generation of judges, lawyers, and policymakers to protect profit over people. Next, they went after K-12 education. If you want long-term control, you have to start young. The Powell strategy laid the groundwork for decades of attacks on public schools: underfunding, standardized testing, charter school privatization, demoralization of teachers, and now a full-blown culture war over what kids are allowed to learn. We're watching coordinated campaigns to ban books, erase Black history, and silence discussions about gender, inequality, or systemic racism. They say it's all about parental rights or protecting kids, but what it's really about is controlling the narrative. Because a generation that learns the truth about how power works is a generation that just might demand something better. And that scares them more than anything. And finally, they blurred the line between research and propaganda. They created think tanks, Heritage Foundation, Cato, AIE, that pump out students and expert opinions tailored to support corporate agendas. These reports get cited in legislation, quoted on cable news, and handed to lawmakers like they're the gospel. But they're not neutral. They're not peer-reviewed. They're just well-funded talking points dressed up as scholarship. This is what Powell meant when he said the business community had to stop playing defense. He wanted them to build their own intellectual infrastructure, and they did. And now we're living in a country where teachers are afraid to speak truth in class, not me, but others, and I don't blame them. Students are graduating with debt and disinformation. Universities serve donors, not the public, and entire school boards are being captured by extremist ideologues. This isn't just about education, it's about conditioning a population to accept inequality as natural, to replace civic learning with corporate obedience, to silence the next generation before they find their voice. They didn't just rewrite the curriculum, they rewrote the whole fucking Constitution. And here's the thing, it's not irreversible, because no matter how much money they spend, people still want truth. They want history that tells the full story. They want classrooms that empower, not indoctrinate. And they want a future where education serves democracy, not corporate dominance. In part 4, we dig into how they captured the courts and called it the rule of law.